This quarter said, read more, buy more. I said, absolutely yes. Hello, welcome back to Read and Roam. We recently hit 500 subscribers on this channel. Woot woot! So if you're new here, hi, hello, my name is Kaylin, and if you're returning, you know what time it is. Time for our quarterly wrap-up, where I'll be sharing my reading and book buying statistics throughout the months of January, February, and March. So let's start the video off with viewing my 2026 books collection. And we are back in my 2026 books collection. Right now you can see there are 20 items under the collection. So let me do a scroll through real quick. Cue the elevator music. And that's what's in my 2026 book collection for the first quarter. I'm gonna scroll back up because there is something that I've decided to change how I want my collections to be tracked this year. I originally planned to move items over from like the 2025 books collection last year into this collection if I were to read them or finish them. For example, moving Dustborn into this collection, that information is no longer in that collection and it's in this one. So I'm gonna scroll down here, whoops, to Lily the Thief. I'm gonna click that. So I ended up just rescanning this book into the 2026 books collection as well. I went in and edited the data, like when it was originally added. I set it to the date that it was added last year. I also put the tag 2025 book purchases and 2026 reads to let myself know that I did buy this book last year and then I did read it this year. So instead of moving Lily the Thief from 2025 books when I originally purchased it and then move it into this collection, I'm not going to do that because, spoiler alert, this is a reason to subscribe, but early next year I want to review both collections, my 2025 books and my 2026 books. I think that'd be such a fun video idea. So I want this book to count in that collection and I also want it to count in this collection as well. So I'm gonna go back up to Dustborn because I haven't read this book yet this year and I don't have any plans to read it anytime soon. So I'm gonna click this little circle to start the batch edit process. I'm gonna go down here to move and 2025 books, perfect. It's going to get moved back to that collection. And yep, items have been moved, if not lent or on hold because I have Libid Pro. And that item has been moved back to the 2025 books collection. I'm gonna refresh the page here real quick. And now my total item count has been updated to 19 books in this collection. So that's what my collection looks like so far. And let's head into my reading statistics now. And now let's talk about my reading statistics. For the first quarter, I end up reading a total of 12 books. My yearly reading goal this year is 26 books. So I'm essentially like halfway done with my reading goal in the first quarter. So I can't wait to see how many books I read in the second quarter of this year and also by the time the end of the year comes around. Let's get into the books that I read in the months of January, February, and March, and we're gonna kick it off with January. The first book that I read this year was Lily the Thief by Jan Kukhanowin. Next up was Diary of a Wimpy Kid, no-brainer book number 18 in the Diary of the Wimpy Kid series by Jeff Kinney. The Faraway Forest, Wally's Route by Debbie Fong, Witchlight by Jesse Zabrowski, and the last book that I read in the month of January was Frankenstein, a monstrous parody by Ludwurst B. Monster. And now here are my February reads, and the first book that I completed was Storybook Ending by Mariah MacDonald, How to Talk to Your Succulent by Zoe Persko, A Waffle Lot of Love by Ben Clanton, and last but not least, The Shootist by Glendon Swarthart. And lastly, the books I read in March. First up, I have Gumshoe by Brenna Thumler, Retribution Rails by Erin Bowman, and lastly, a book that I started last year, so I didn't read 100 pages of this, but it was With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. I finally completed this. And those are the 12 books that I read in the first quarter. Next up is page count. I read a total of 2,617 pages for the first quarter. A lot of short books definitely contribute to that. Shortest book that I read, coming in at 48 pages, was Frankenstein. And the longest book that I read was Retribution Rails by Erin Bowman, which was 371 pages long. The average page count per book ended up being around 214 pages. Next up is books I've owned versus library loans. And out of the 12 books I read, 10 were books that I owned and 2 were library loans. The first one being The Diary of the Wimpy Kid. I read that as an ebook. And same for With a Vengeance. While I did have it as a hardback copy, I decided to loan it from the library and read it on my Kindle because I've only ever read one book on my Kindle. Next up is format of the books. I read 2 ebooks, I listened to 0 audiobooks, and out of the other 10 books I read, 4 were paperbacks and 6 were hardbacks. Next up is series versus standalones. I ended up reading 4 books that were a part of a series and the other 8 were standalones. Next up is published year, and I read 1 book in each of the following years: 2011, 2012, 2016, 2017, 2020, 2023, and 2026. And the other 5 books that I read were all released in 2025. Next up is my star rating, and the average star rating for this quarter is 3.875. And if you round that up, that's 3.9 stars. That's almost a 4.0, which tells you I had a phenomenal reading month. The star ratings are as followed. I didn't have any really bad reads. I only had 1 book at a 2.5 star rating. I had 1 book at a 3-star rating. I had another 1 3.5 star rated book. I read 6 books that ended up being 4 stars, and the last 3 books I read ended up being a 4.5 star rating. And next up is my least and favorite books I read throughout the quarter. My least favorite read of the quarter was Witchlight by Jesse Zabarsky, but it wasn't my favorite book ever, but it definitely wasn't like an average 3-star rating. I'm gonna end up giving it a 2.5 star rating. This graphic novel is about a witch who kidnaps a peasant girl, and they go on an adventure to find the other missing half of her soul. And like, the cover is super beautiful. Just like picked this up on a whim. The art style is just like all right. I didn't really care for the coloring. I also wanted more dialogue in this book as well. And I had a 3-way tie for my favorite books throughout the quarter, that being The Faraway Forest, Wally's Route by Debbie Fong. This book is absolutely adorable. It has such a wonderful message for the little kids. The illustrations are, let me just show you, they are so stinking adorable. Look how cute this is. Like, even the back of the book, it's just so adorable, and that's why I loved it so much. My second favorite book of the quarter ended up being Frankenstein, a Monstrous Parody. This book is hilarious. It's a parody of Madeline, and we have a creepy old castle all covered with spines. Lived 12 ugly monsters in 2 crooked lines, and the ugliest one was Frankenstein. But like, I don't think this guy is so ugly. He looks so adorable. So I don't know what went wrong there. But it was a hilarious read. And it's also a perfect fall read. And my favorite book that I read throughout the first quarter of this year is going to have to be Retribution Rails by Erin Bowman. This is a YA Western novel. It is also a companion duology to dun, 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 Vengeance Road. And just look how beautiful these covers are. They're my favorite. They also have deckled edges, and we need to make deckled edges a thing again. Forget the sprayed edges. I want deckled edges. I love this so much. This is a companion to this book, so you can read it without reading this book first, but I highly recommend reading this. This is like a Western Mulan type of book, and the characters that appear in here also appear in here as well, which is also another reason why I mainly loved this book. And if you couldn't tell, in the months of March, I went into like a whole Western phase. Over Christmas break, I played Red Dead Redemption 2, and then after that, I played the first Red Dead Redemption game. And I've been hooked on anything Western since. And I loved Vengeance Road when it first came out. out. And this book is about Reese Murphy, who is a part of the Rose Rider gang, and he ends up meeting a girl named Charlotte during a train robbery that has gone wrong. And they kind of like need each other to survive and outrun this gang, seek the truth, and of course, seek vengeance. And I loved this one so much. Also, can we just give it up for the cover? It's gorgeous. I love everything about it. Such a great read. And if you're looking to branch out and try something new, this one and Vengeance Road are highly recommended by me. So those were my reading statistics. Let's check in how I'm doing on my reading goals this year. So for 2026, I set out 6 goals that I hoped to achieve. And the first one is reading 26 books, and this quarter I read 12. So I'm essentially halfway to my reading goal at this point. The second goal is to read 15 new to me authors, and I read a total of 8 new to me authors this quarter. I'm halfway over that goal. Next up, number 3 is to complete 3 series, and I'm a third of the way through with that because I did finish Retribution Rails by Aaron Bowman, and since it is a companion duology type of situation, like in my world, I consider that a series, so I'm checking that off. Goal number 4 is to read 10,000 pages, and right now I'm sitting at 2,617 pages, so I got quite a bit of ways to go. Next up, reading goal number 5 is to read 15 books from my shelf. I'm trying to really prioritize reading books from my shelf so I can get rid of them, so I can acquire new books. And last but not least, goal number 6 is to save $2 from every purchase. I ended up getting 10 books this quarter, however, 2 were gifts. So 8 books I bought, and I'm saving $2 for each purchase equals a total of $16. And how I'm tracking that in real life is I recently finished some pickles, so I'm going to be filling this bad boy up. That will go right there for now. But let's head back into La Bib real quick to check out the dashboard section and talk about my book buying. So we're back in my 2026 books collection. Before we get over to the dashboard section, I reminded myself of something real quick. I'm gonna go over here to this blue button that says filters, and if I click that, it's going to drop down like the item type, my status, and also tags. I'm gonna scroll through, and we have 2026 book purchase here. If I click that, it's going to show me those results. So I have 10 items because I bought 10 books throughout 2026 so far. I can go up here where it says relevancy. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to go to the added. And now everything's going to be in order of when I purchased it. So the first book that I purchased this year was An Illustrated History of Ghosts, as you can see there. I got the Patchwork, A Sewist Diary. We have Panel Quilting, a couple other books here. And as you can see, like the shootist we have right here, 2026 reads, 2026 book purchases, but it was also a gift, so that's why I'm not counting that book. And yeah, if you go down to A Waffle Lot of Love, you can see the price there of how much I paid for the book. But yeah, those are the books that I bought so far in the first quarter. But we're gonna head on over to the dashboard section here off to the left side. Now I've selected my 2026 books collection. You can see that there's a total of 19 unique items and also 19 total copies. If I had multiple copies of a book, this would be displayed there, but I don't because I'm not buying duplicates. If I scroll down, we have unique items added by rolling year. This is one of my favorite graphs to look at. So I've purchased a book back in May, a book back in June, July. These are when those other books have been added into this collection. And if you hover over it, it tells you how many items are in there. Next up is unique items added by year, another favorite graph of mine. So we have 2017, and that's definitely going to be the Retribution Rails book because that's when I got that book. We have 8 books that are from 2025, and of course, 10 items from 2020. If we scroll down, it's total copies by item type, which is book, because that's all that is being collected in this. If I had like DVDs or CDs or anything like that, it would break it down into like movies, music, board games, etc. And now, the moment that I have personally been waiting for, because I haven't seen this number yet. I've been waiting for this point in this video to find out myself personally how much I've spent on books this year. So drum roll, please. It's gonna be $89.92 is what I spent so far on books this year, so far. If you break it down by month, essentially, I spent less than $30 a month on books. And if we're comparing it to last year's first quarter, it was like $88, I think like $88, $82 or something. So we are like right on track with the book purchases and how much books cost last year versus this year. So yeah, I ended up buying a total of 8 books because I got 2 as a gift because I had gift cards to use. That is it for the statistics of reading and book buying, and also an update on my reading goals. So let's wrap this video up. And anyways, that is going to be it for today's video. That was my reading and book buying statistics along with a reading goal update for the first quarter of 2026, the months of January, February, and March. And in the comment section down below, let me know if you've been reading more books, buying more books, both, or none of the above. Anyways, that's gonna be it for today's video, and I will see you next time for a new bookish video.